Part 6 of the Supreme Court hearing regarding the TikTok ban. This segment that I've cut up for you is the TikTok attorney discussing the difference between ownership and control of the U.S. TikTok company. He also uses the example of other companies that operate in the U.S. that are subsidiaries of foreign companies. Here we go.
All right. What if TikTok were then not owned by the foreign government, but it was undisputed that TikTok was totally controlled by the foreign government, could not do one thing without the approval of the foreign government? That's different?
I do think that it is different, Your Honor. For example, I've given the hypothetical that I've given, but there are a lot of companies in this country that have foreign owners, not just companies like Politico, which is German-owned, or Al Jazeera, which is partly owned by the government of Qatar.
Well, I understand that, but what would be the reason for drawing that line?
Sure,
if there's a good reason for saying that a foreign government, particularly an adversary, does not have free speech rights in the United States, why would it all change if it was simply hidden under some kind of contrived corporate structure?
Because it is a U.S. speaker. I'll give you another example. AMC movie theaters used to be owned by a Chinese company. Under this theory, Congress could order AMC movie theaters to censor any movies that Congress doesn't like or promote any movies that Congress wanted. And I think the reason is that here, where it's conceded, you actually have a bona fide U.S. company. It is not simply a Chinese cutout that is the Chinese government speaking itself,
all right,
but
let's
an
say that's
independent
not a
United States company.
Let's say this is not a complete answer to your First Amendment argument, but would you be willing to concede that this is a very important factor that should be taken into account in deciding whether there's a First Amendment violation?
Well, Your Honor, I think that it does help supply a compelling governmental interest, but I still think you have to march through the strict scrutiny analysis and analyze their interests. I do not think that they have a compelling governmental interest in the manipulation of content. I think that is in the teeth of the First Amendment, and if you look at the government's brief and the rest of the record in this case, that's really what it's focused on. Their complaint is the fear that the content could be critical of the United States government or could undermine our democracy.
Hey guys, there's some really good stuff coming. Stay tuned for part 7, and if you're not following me, make sure you do that so we can continue the conversation.